Hey guys, it's James, and today I wanted to talk about the growth investor, or more specifically, the QQQ ETF. And then I want to talk about three separate growth ETFs that have been outperforming QQQ over the past year. And then I want to talk about a massive growth ETF that has produced 97% returns in the past 12 months. And today we're talking about our growth investing style. This is the type of investor that's going to accept a little bit more risk than the 5 previous investing styles: the hands-off, income, index, blue chip, and dividend investors. The growth investor is going to be accepting a little bit more risk, but also they're going to reap a little bit more returns. If you haven't seen my investing style quiz yet, download this quiz. Link is in the description. There's no email, there's no sign up. Just click the link in the description. You'll be sent over to Google Sheets, press file, make a copy, and then you will be free to change the answer to the questions, answer all these questions. And then depending on how you answer these questions, you'll get a risk score and a stock market education score. And that's done behind the scenes over here, but you don't need to worry about that. And then it will spit out what type of investor you most likely are. But today we're talking about the growth investor. And let's talk about QQQ before we first dive into the 3 ETFs that have outperformed the very popular QQQ. Over on QQQ's website, I wanted to show you the performance that QQQ has had over the past 1 to 10 years. And down on the performance section, we can see over the past year, the market price has given us a 30% return. And over the past 10 years, it's given us around 18.67% return per year. And that's just returns by the end of June 30th. Here in the first week of July of 2024, we've had some more bull market runs, giving us a little bit more than that 30%. If we check out Seeking Alpha's page, we can see over the past 12 months, we've actually had a 34% return for QQQ. And QQQ is one of the best and most popular growth ETFs with 300 billion assets under management. And the 3 other ETFs that we're going to focus on here in this video, they actually don't even come close to the 300 billion. And then again, QQQ has an expense ratio of 0.2% with a dividend yield of 0.54%. So what's the first ETF on this list? That ETF is going to be VUG, or the Vanguard Growth ETF. And Vanguard's Growth ETF's performance over the past 1 year on their website, they're advertising a 32% return, with over the past 10 years around 15.34% return per year. But again, that's taking the numbers from June 30th. If we go over to Seeking Alpha's website, we can see 36.82% returns over the past 12 months. We are sitting at $251 billion with assets under management, a 0.04% expense ratio, so a little cheaper than QQQ, and the dividend yield is 0.49%, slightly lower than QQQ. The second ETF on this list is SCHG, not to be confused with SCHD. It is Schwab's US Large Cap Growth ETF. On their website, they're advertising a 35% 1-year return with a 15.7% return per year over the last 10 years. But these numbers are only accurate up until May 31st. If we go over to Seeking Alpha's page for SCHG, they're advertising a 39% price return over the past 12 months and only 31 billion under management. That's about 10 times smaller than QQQ. The expense ratio is very similar to VUG, but still cheaper than QQQ, and their dividend yield is slightly smaller than the 2 previous ETFs. And the third ETF on this list that we're going to talk about has had a 40.4% growth over the past 12 months. And that ETF is iShares Russell Top 200 Growth ETF, or IWY. On their website, up until June 30th, the 1-year return has been 36%, and they have averaged 17.55% over the past 10 years. With the most recent data, with June included, IWI has given us about 40.41% return over the past 12 months. And IWI only has about $12.53 billion in assets under management. The expense ratio is sitting at 0.2, and the dividend yield is sitting at 0.51%. Before we jump into this ETF that has seen a 97% growth over the past 12 months, I wanted to show you on Portfolio Visualizer what that looks like. So with a $10,000 investment starting here in January of 2015 over on the left side of the graph, in each 4 of these investments where VUG, SCHG, and IWY are the 3 smaller returns over here on the right side of the graph, you can see the ETF that has given us $187,000 over the course of 10 years with a $10,000 investment, how this has outperformed these 3 other growth ETFs. And that ETF is TQQQ. TQQQ is ProShares QQQ leveraged ETF. It takes the performance of QQQ and multiplies it by 3. And one of the reasons that people really shy away from a leveraged fund like TQQQ is because when the stock market is going down, it magnifies the losses that you're looking at. And a lot of people can't take those massive losses, so they would rather only hold a fund like QQQ. But if you take a look at the performance of TQQQ over the past year, as of May 31st, 82% returns in 1 year with an average of 36% over the past 10 years and 42% since inception. Taking a look over on Seeking Alpha, over the past 12 months with July included, we would have had almost 100% return on our investment over the past 12 months. The expense ratio is slightly higher than the other 4 ETFs we've looked at here on this list. However, their dividend yield is 1.05%, which basically covers the expense ratio. And the assets under management is only $26 billion. Before we finish here, I wanted to show you what it would look like over on my Self-Investors Workbook here on Patreon. You can download this calculator on Patreon. It does cost $7 a month, but this calculator here, we can compare 2 ETFs or just take one ETF, and we're going to take QQQ, put the dividend yield, expense ratio. We're going to have a monthly edition starting with $10,000, taking that 18.67% average 10-year growth, putting it in the annual growth rate. What would we have if we started from 30? What would we have 10 years from now? Well, with a $500 a month monthly edition, 10 years from now, we would have around $219,000 if QQQ continued to grow around 18.67% per year. So head down into the comments and let me know what you thought of this Growth Investors video. I just wanted to simply review some of the ETFs that a growth investor would go after, and growth investors are having a really good year here this year with 36, 40%, even up to 97% for those that can stomach a ride like TQQQ. Head down into the comments and let me know if you own any of these ETFs. And with that, thanks for watching.